Okay. Yeah. Boilo.
Hello everyone, welcome to slot 2 of DeimosForce Summer Split Conquerors Series. We are streaming Chandabindu Pirates versus S&D, and I have with me the legendary Red Bro to shoutcast.
So Sadman, and it looks like we have a cracking game on our hands as Chandramindra Pirates go up against S&D. It's the second phase of the first day of the Conqueror series, so I'm really excited to see what these amateur teams bring to the table, because this is probably the first step towards them becoming the pros in the future pro leagues. So as you all know, the people who are going to be in the top 3 of the Conquerors League, they'll get a free pass to the Pro League. And also there's a lot of cash rewards involved for the first 2 teams. So yeah, there's a lot of things at stake for these for all the teams involved in the Conqueror series. And I'm really looking forward to how this tournament shapes up in the coming days.
Definitely, and from DeimosForce, I can guarantee just not the Champions League. There are a lot of other new tournaments coming in very soon for everyone. So yeah, just keep in touch with us. So what do you think about the bans so far?
So far, according to what's been banned right now, from Chandamindra Pirates, we have Ramos and Vladimir. Like, someone who is a jungler who has a lot of map pressure and a lot of ganking pressure early on. So you really want to take that out of the game so that your laners have a better chance of surviving during the early phases. Because a Ramos, when he ganks you and he's charging down your lane with that rotation, he's going to basically make your life hell, and he will force the summoners out of you. And if you do not have an innate escape in your kit, you will be basically caught out time and time again. So I'm guessing they're gonna basically shut down that camping potential. And then looking at Vladimir, he's obviously one of the more stronger top laners. He is nigh impossible to kill when he gets to level 6 because of his insane heal and insane burst damage. He can essentially 2v1 to moderate duelists. Unless, of course, you have a lot of burst damage to counter his healing so that he doesn't heal it back in time, you really can't kill him top lane. And Misfortune, we've seen Misfortune really powerful in the previous patches, but I'm guessing this is more of a targeted ban towards probably someone in the S&D lineup. So we'll see how that goes. Coming to S&D's bans, Gnar, obviously a very strong laner, has great poke, great escape, and also great engage in his Mega Gnar form. And then we have Katarina, a seriously good mid laner who roams a lot and has a lot of burst damage. So yeah, you really don't want that to be on the opponent team. And Janna is probably one of the strongest supports in this patch right now because of her kit and how she's buffed, and in comparison to all the other supports, she's probably the strongest disengaged support in the game at this moment on. So right now, we have 2 champions picked for S&D, Xayah and Rakan, and they both are really good together. We really know how the synergy flows between these 2 champions in the bot lane. So really smart decision from them. And they're also very safe picks as well, because they don't really have true counters, unless, of course, you're thinking about getting something niche, which I am not sure if they're going to go, but they did went with the Kog'Maw Lulu. So basically, it's going to be a more passive lane, while Xayah and Rakan, you know, dishes out the pressure towards Chandramindra Pirates.
On Chandramindra Pirates, and we see Malphite jungle. So it's just going to be I mean, they will have a lot of tanks in their team with the Lulu ultimate. I guess they have a bit more snowball potential at this point. We see a Jarvan pick from S&D right now, so Jarvan can also snowball from the very early game.
Yeah, the thing about Jarvan is that he's good to go from level 2. You can just literally do 2 buffs or one buff and 1 small camp, and then camp them, and then gank the nearest lane close to you, because his EQ is all you need to just initiate a good gank, and you can almost always force a good flash or a good, or at least chip down the laner's health so that they are forced to back off and your laner gets free XP. Speaking of Malphite, I don't think it's a Malphite jungle. I think it's a Malphite top lane, because Malphite
top. I guess
Malphite jungle.
Sorry.
Malphite top, because Malphite top Malphite jungle really does not go well, because of the fact that he does not have any innate sustain in his kit. Plus, he's really slow to clear. So up against Jarvan, you'd want someone who goes against him toe to toe, because otherwise you're going to be at a disadvantage when you're fighting with your laners against the jungler. In a 2v2 scenario, Jarvan will almost likely always win against a Malphite, unless of course they're both level 6, in which case it can go either way, but that is highly unlikely given the fact that Malphite clears so slowly. That means that Jarvan can reach level 6 sooner and then have more gank potential than Malphite, which can potentially turn the tides in S&D's favor. So, coming to the next phase of the bans, we have Kha'Zix and Yasuo being banned out. Very strong AD champions. You really don't want those two to snowball out of control, so that's why they did ban that. And coming to the Chondamin the Pirates bans, Malzahar and Sion, both are really good control champions, with Malzahar going in with that ultimate that really roots an essential enemy champion in place, while Sion dishes out a lot of damage while maintaining a lot of tankiness. So he's really annoying to deal with, and you definitely don't want to deal with that in the late game.
On the last game, I don't know if you followed it, but on the Iron versus Burn It Down game that we streamed, Burn It Down actually picked Malzahar and Sion, and they didn't actually play really well. I still think it's like a specific targeted ban from S&D. And meanwhile, we see a very good pick from CBP, basically Brand pick. I guess Brand has a lot of burst damage potential from very early game, right?
Not really from very early game. Brand really needs to ramp up and get like at least 2 items before his true potential starts getting unleashed. His real kicker is in the team fights, and that is basically what Chondamin the Pirates is going for. They have Volibear to get in with the engage. They have the Lulu ult. They have the Malphite ult as well. So that's a lot of raw engage potential coming from CBP. Couple that with the fact that there's Kog'Maw to whittle down the health of the opponents as they're busy with Malphite and Volibear. You also have the Brand's ultimate and Brand's Brand's burst damage. That is purely AoE, except for his Q, and that pretty much deals a lot of damage, and you have basically a good team fighting comp in CBP. Not necessarily a great snowballing comp, but in late game, I see CBP taking the advantage in most of the fights if they go toe-to-toe up till that point. Now, coming over to the S&D, we see a very heavily snowball and aggressive team pick coming in from them, because we have the Xayah and the Rakan. They can actually snowball bot lane out of control if Jarvan can help them out. And Jarvan, as we know, is a very versatile jungler. If he snowballs, he can build AD, he can build Bruiser, and still dish out a lot of damage while maintaining his tankiness. Even if he gets behind or is on par with Volibear, he can still build tank and maintain his relevance, even though he might not deal so much damage. He has that utility potential in him. Then we also have the Galio with the global ultimate and the innate tankiness plus the damage from his Q. He's actually a very strong laner in the mid lane right now, and he's really difficult to counter for AP mages because of the fact that he's really strong against them. And Singed is just an all-around annoying champion to deal with. He'll proxy farm behind your turret, and you cannot do anything about him. Even if you kill him like 5 to 6 times, he's still going to do it and still going to build up tankiness and still going to do a lot of damage to your team if you chase him around. Plus, he's also an annoyance in team fights, and that teleport ghost combo is definitely going to be deadly in those coming team fights.
That's true, though I'm not really sure about Galio, because Galio got a bit of nerf on this patch. Basically, it takes the cooldown is reduced on his jump, I guess. So, then again, like, he can actually poke a lot, so it's going to be a problem, I guess, for CBP. We have...
Bearing in mind...
Sorry.
Of course, bearing in mind that the cooldown was increased. However, what S&D should do because of that is pick their fights because when Singe teleport is down or Galio's ultimate is down, they're at a severe disadvantage if someone does roam down to bot lane or someone does go up to top lane. Because if you want that kind of instant response, you want your Galio to have his ultimate ready. You want your Singe to have teleport ready so that he can go to bot lane and, force and engage. So that is pretty much what S&D should be doing. They should pick fights in the mid game very, very carefully, knowing that the Galio ultimate is up, knowing that the Singe teleport is up as well, so that they can come in and assist. And it all comes down to how the early game goes. If CBP survives the early game, if they can actually hold on against the aggression that S&D should be pushing CBP with, if they can survive that phase, we're looking at potentially even team fight split in the mid game. However, late game, it favors CBP a bit more because they have more raw hard engage, plus they have a Kog'Maw who is absolutely dangerous in the late game, and you really have to deal with a Kog'Maw. And with a Lulu protecting a Kog'Maw, it's kind of very difficult to deal with Kog'Maw with that shield, with the ultimate up. However, as the game goes on, we'll know more, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, we have 25-second spectators delay. What I think regarding CBP, that they have to really protect their ADC toward the game just to get the insane damage from Kog'Maw, and obviously they have to kind of wait till late game. On the early game on the bot lane, what I think that the Xayah and Rakan combo, that's going to be a bit painful for Kog'Maw if they can pull it off.
Of course, that is legit what Chandamin the Pirates should be worried about. So I'm guessing we're gonna see a lot of pressure from Volibear in order to help out his laners, because as you said, Xayah and Rakan are gonna put on the aggression. They're gonna go for the kills. They will play aggressive, and they're gonna go for the early level 2, so that they can put on the fight. However, Volibear what he should do is focus on bot lane, and then try to help Kog'Maw and Lulu sustain that continued aggression, so they can actually get out of that phase where they don't have to rely on the jungler to help them out every single time they want to engage.
Definitely. For CBP, what I can assume that they will try to kind of snowball bot lane a bit early. I mean, the jungler is going to basically should stay on bot lane just to protect Kog'Maw a bit and give him some early leads.
Of course, and seen in the last tournament that I shoutcasted in, that a lot of ADCs picked up press the attack, and they did not favor any of the other precision keystones. However, in this game, we're seeing the Kog'Maw has actually picked up fleet footwork. It is actually attributed to the fact that press the attack got nerfed in the meantime, and fleet footwork got buffed. And Kog'Maw is also a very critical line champion, and he gains a lot of value from fleet footwork than
press the attack.
Press the attack, yeah.
Though press the attack has been buffed in this current patch, but not that much that it used to be, because people used to just spoil it. But yeah, the matchup actually should be interesting in bot lane. Though, as I said, that what I think is it basically depends on the Volibear if he snowballs a bot lane from the very beginning or not.
Of course. Now we're just waiting for the teams to load in so we can get this match underway. I'm really excited to see what these teams have to offer on the table. It looks like a very even. It looked like a very even match on paper. So let's see how this pans out. We are in game finally.
The game is starting, I guess.
We're still waiting for the fog of war to clear. Sadman, I want to know what your opinions are on these two teams. Who do you think is going to win?
I'm kind of rooting for CBP because basically they have a Volibear, and if they can pull it off, it's just going to be insane and fun to watch with. I mean, it will be very fun to watch. Then again, as you say, that it's kind of even matchup for S&D as well. So I'll just wait a bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not really favoring either of these teams at this point because it's too early to call, and it depends a lot on the early game, as I said. And after the early game, who is going to win or not. But then again, this is League of Legends, and it's unpredictable. And we really cannot, count any team out, because I've seen a lot of insane comebacks in the previous tournament. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of teams getting advantages, uncounterable advantages, but they still get taken down in the late game or in the mid game. because they kind of throw that advantage away. So both these teams should be looking to create advantages early game, but it's equally important to sustain that advantage throughout the game, because if you make a mistake or even 2 mistakes, that is pretty much curtains for the advantages you just created, and that pretty much sets you back to square one, where you have to claw yourself back to the position you were in.
Definitely. We see a pause at the very early, I guess, is battle ping. So yeah, we have to kind of wait.
We're waiting for Jawad HS to come back. Shadman, I haven't been able to watch the other games in the tournament. However, you have. So give us a rundown of what happened in the previous games.
So basically on the slot 1, we kind of hosted 2 games. One was Iron versus Barney Down. So Iron owned. This is the match we streamed. Unfortunately, we cannot stream simultaneous matches at this point. But in future, we'll try to do it. And another match was Team Counter-Strike versus Invader Gaming, and Team Counter-Strike won the match. And what was really interesting on Iron versus Barney Down, like there was a lot of coming back from Barney Down. Barney Down was in a lead at a point. Then basically Iron came back really good. Barney Down had Volibear in their team pool, in the champ pool, but they couldn't really utilize that very well. Also, we see some similar pickups. Barney Down also had a Zaya and Rakan combo at the bot lane against a Draven. So the Draven basically carried the game against the Draven.
All right,
we've
already seen a lot of the times. Yeah, it was seen a lot of the times that a Draven gets fed and he just insta carries the game. He's pretty much an underrated ADC at this point, because a lot of people do play him, but not a lot of people consider him as one of the stronger picks. Like in the pick and ban phase of this game, I didn't see Draven being banned. I didn't even see Draven being picked up in this game. But we have to mention that he's an incredibly snowball reliant champion. If he gets ahead early, he's going to sustain that through the mid and late game and just obliterate people. But if he gets sit behind, it's really difficult for him to come back. And continued pressure on his lane kind of deters him from reaching that point. And another topic that I wanted to discuss on is that the Conqueror series are for semi-pro players, right?
Yeah.
So do you think these semi-pro players are performing at this level? Do you think do you think that they have embraced the Conqueror series with great enthusiasm, or are there stuff that they are, unhappy about or whatnot?
As organizers, we are really overwhelmed by the response that we got, and we didn't expect this much, but the love we have seen from the community is just we are very well overwhelmed. And in terms of their playing style and everything, they are actually picking up. Like for example, in the last game, right, we saw a lot of vision control from both of the teams. Like they were wording, they were clearing words, so that was really exciting to see, like the pros do. So I guess the community is improving, which actually all that matters, right? And the game has just resumed. We see deep wording very early from Chandrabindu Pirates, and I guess the S&D has no clue that CVP actually visited their rare site. It is going to be interesting.
So this might trigger Volibear going in for a counter jungling route for Jarvan after he's done with his blue, but I am not too sure if that is basically a good idea to duel a Jarvan at that stage of the game. But we do see a standard clear coming up for both teams, except for Volibear starting at the top blue buff, which might indicate towards that counter jungling path. But he is going for the Grump, as is Jarvan. So we're still not sure as to where he'll go. Standard stuff coming in from both of these teams at this point. Pretty safe starts.
The Jarvan actually cleared the Grump after the blue, the frog. Basically, here the Volibear had actually a chance to counter jungle the red. But yeah,
I think it was basically to understand where the jungler started, because that vision control is actually pretty important. If you know that a Jarvan is not starting red buff top lane, it means that he's not going to gank top lane after he hits level 2. That means the Singed can. That means that Malphite can actually, you know, play safe or even push, for that matter, for the first 2 minutes of the game, or the first 3 minutes of the game, because he knows that the Jarvan will have to clear blue buff and then Gromp and then come back to, you know, red buff to hit level 3. So that was pretty important for, you know, Chandrabindo Pirates to actually know what was going on.
Yeah, we see Jarvan is clearing his red buff. Now we see some trades going on the bot. Singed is going a bit aggro. Lulu is, we see a lot of poking as well. Volibear kind of visited bot lane, and I guess he's clearing the jungle, clearing the bot side river, and going for a counter jungle, but finds nothing.
Right, and in the early phase, in the actual early minutes of the game, we saw that Volibear was kind of getting Galio was kind of getting pushed back by the Brand, but he seems to have recovered now, and they're pretty much on equal terms in the lane. However, Brand still has 2 potions left, while Galio is all out of potions. So I'm guessing this is going to be a bit reversed in the matchup, because we were expecting that the Galio would do well against the Brand. However, we're seeing that the Brand is actually laying down a lot of pressure on Galio.
So basically, Galio has to come a bit in front, just poke in terms of range. I guess Brand has a bit of range advantage here. That's why like he's kind of poking a lot. We may see a early gank.
I'd see an early 2v2 even. Jarvan is coming towards mid lane, but he decides not to. Takes a U-turn back and might head to top lane, because Malphite's lane is actually pushing. This might be a prime time for Jarvan to actually gank at this point. Meanwhile, Brand laying down the Pillars of Flame. And meanwhile, we do see a gank in the top lane. Jarvan goes in with the EQ, the red buff still coming out, Electrocute coming out. Malphite might have to force flash away, or he might not, because Jarvan's EQ is on cooldown. They'll let Malphite go with little HP. And that will be a deterrent to Malphite, because he won't be able to CS for a while. He has to play safe, because his wave was pretty much pushed up. But now the Singed is pushing down on the top turret, and Volibear is at the golems. So we know that Volibear won't be able to help him out anytime soon.
And the Malphite leaves another day. And we saw some poking on the bot lane as well. I guess except top lane, like every other lane is kind of playing safe. Xayah is trying to push a bit. The supports are poking each other, though like Lulu has a bit of damage advantage over Rakan.
Not sure though about the junglers, you know, picking top lane. About Jarvan picking top lane as the first lane to gank, because both these teams have their best champions to win in the bot and mid lane. But we do see an engage coming out from CBP. Volibear goes in, flash Q's in, Rakan is in trouble. First blood coming out for Kog'Maw. Xayah takes a lot of damage, but gets to see another day as she escapes with very little HP. But that was actually a pretty good gank from Volibear. Took advantage of that engage from SND, and CBP walk out with first blood.
As I said earlier, before the game, that Volibear will try to actually snowball the bot lane just to give their ADC a bit of advantage, and as he did.
Of course, and as I was saying, Jarvan shouldn't have ganked top. He should have actually focused on mid and bot, because as I was saying, both these teams have their main potential champions in the mid and the bot lane. If they're gonna win, they have to leverage their mid laners and bot laners and actually propel them towards victory. You see, the first dragon is actually Infernal Drake, and the champions and the team which gets the Infernal Drake is going to secure a very good early lead. And for that to happen, they should focus more on the bot lane.
Definitely. And in terms of vision control on the dragon, none of the team has vision yet. Jarvan is on bot, and Volibear is going top. I don't know that this pathing works or not at this point, but I guess the Jarvan may make a move on the dragon. Rakan just warded.
Yeah, they're just going to clear out their second buffs, and then we'll see what goes on. Right now, mid lane is pretty evenly matched. Galio already has a pretty hefty amount of HP, owing to the fact that he has built a Catalyst and he has a Doran's Ring. Meanwhile, Brand going for that full AP with the Lost Chapter, and he's going to be dealing out a lot of damage.
In the mid lane, actually, the Brand is doing a lot of damage. On Galio, I mean, he's just poking and harassing Galio at this point.
Galio actually has 46 comparison to 54 of Brand CS, which is 8 CS behind, yes, but considering the fact that, as you said, Galio is a melee champion, he has to get up close and personal to even think about, you know, farming. And the fact that he has taken a lot of damage, it's still pretty respectable CS numbers between the two.
We'll definitely share some TPs and plays as soon as like the ADCs get level 6. On the bot lane, Jarvan is roaming bot at this point. They have warded pretty well the bot side. S&D, they have very good vision control there. And
again, for Galio, he might just engage, but Galio decides to dash out of there. And Jarvan is actually... he was hovering down in the bot lane, but he didn't actually commit. He's actually going towards mid lane right now to actually counteract the aggression that Brand was giving. So now he goes in with the EQ. EQ doesn't land. The stun comes out. Oh my god, that is a lot of damage coming up to Jarvan and Galio. Might just pick up a double kill here. Do we see the flash coming out? The flash does come out, and Jarvan dodges the Q with his timed flash. Meanwhile, Malphite tries to rotate down to mid lane. Has to force disengage with the plan because his teammates are not really there to help him out.
Really nice plays from Bran on the mid lane.
Oh, proves how much damage Bran can actually deal if you do not focus on ganking him properly. Meanwhile, CBP actually take advantage of this because their jungler is low, because their mid laner is low. They know that they have consolidated advantage in the dragon area, and they pick up the first dragon of the game. So far, good start from CBP. It kind of ended in a reverse role for CBP because we were thinking about them, you know, surviving the early game in the face of S&D's aggression. But right now, they're the ones who are aggressive, and they're the ones who are coming up on top because of some great decision making.
Okay, due to the internet situation, I guess my spectating a bit laggy. So to the stream, I guess we should kind of match the timing. Red Bro, right now I'm 9:42. Can you like slow down a bit? I try to fasten up my one, but it kind of lags.
Okay, so which
my time
right now?
is right now 9:55, 9:56, 9:57, and 10. Are we synced?
All right. Yeah, we're synced right now.
Awesome. We see some pokes from Galio, but he can actually stand a chance on Brand right now. Brand is also like ahead in farming, so yeah, it is just getting harder and harder slowly for Galio at this point. We see Jarvan on the top side river, though like it is kind of worded, so they should have awareness of him.
Right now, pretty standard stuff considering it's 10 minutes. We did see the dragon being picked up, but that wasn't really a proactive play from CBP rather than a reactive play to Brand being ganked and, you know, being, you know, coming out on top on that 2v1. And they did pick up that Infernal Drake, but I'm kind of, you know, I was kind of hoping that the junglers would have more impact in the game, but right now, we do see an engage coming in from S&D. Lulu might be in trouble here. He gets taken down by the burst from Xayah. And Volley comes in right now.
Volley tried to go in. Volley tried to go in, but yeah, it's a kill for S&D at this moment.
S&D did do well to, you know, utilize that aggression advantage that they have with the Xayah and the Rakan. Lulu Kog'Maw just did not really stand a chance against that onslaught of attacks. And Xayah's burst damage is just insane in the early game, and even to mid game at that point. So yeah, Lulu pretty much just got obliterated by the ultimate.
Xayah has
as I was saying,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
As I was saying, really being too proactive, rather, they're just, you know, hovering around the lanes, but because of the warding and because of how, you know, the laners are pushed up, they can't really seem to make that much of an impact. So we're seeing pretty standard laning stuff from both these teams at this point.
Exactly. As I was saying earlier, that Xayah has a bit of advantage because like Kog'Maw is going to Rage Blade unless he's getting you know, built. Xayah already has a BF sword, so Xayah has a bit of damage advantage at this point on Kog'Maw. So we'll see a bit of aggro play from Xayah, and because of the BF sword, they are getting a bit poked down at this point.
Yeah, they are. And in top lane, we do see Singed being zoned out from his CS, but that doesn't really matter for Singed because even if you set him behind, like let's say 2-3 levels, he still manages to find a way to come back. So I think in this situation, CBP has consolidated a solid early game lead, and they should build on it and try to utilize that advantage in the other lanes and try to end the game as soon as possible before the 30-minute mark, because that's when the Singed actually becomes really overpowered and really annoying to deal with, and
Singed
it basically becomes really easy.
What I think that Singed is just there because of the annoyance. We see an engage from Zero Void. Singed is pretty low and Singed walks away.
Yeah, a Singed actually isn't that easy to kill unless you have a lot of burst damage, like I was saying, and he does turn on his ult and Ghost and just escapes. That's pretty much it.
We see
and
Jarvan going in. Rakan ult, Jarvan going in, and we see an ult as well from Xayah. Kog'Maw is going to be rooted. No, it didn't. Galio ults as well. It's a 4 versus 2 in mid. Ban comes in. And we see a kill picked up by Lulu and another by Kog'Maw.
Alright, so pretty hotspot stuff right there. Both these teams really, coordinating their attacks against each other. They were going pretty much all in. CBP's Brand actually coming down from mid lane to bot lane to help assist in the 2 kills that they picked up. And it was a great engage from Xayah and Rakan. The fact that the Galio actually altered in is why they could secure one of the kills. But the fact that the Brand has so much damage, as soon as he joined the fight, it kind of, turned in CBP's favor. Like the dominant one in that fight, but as soon as Brand came in, they just looked like on the back foot. That's how much Brand's burst damage had an impact on basically the team fight that happened at bot lane. And right now, more and more even. However, that Brand has to be taken out of the equation really quickly. Otherwise, he's going to wreak havoc in the upcoming fights.
Meanwhile, Volibear takes the Rift Herald, and it is going to be problematic for S&D because that kind of actually shows at least one tier on tower. And on the bot fight, speaking of that, like what happened was basically they were kind of pushed in towards the turret, so they kind of also got a bit of turret hit, especially Rakan.
Yeah, they did, and that kind of overcommitment coupled with the Brand's damage kind of, did not really pan out that well from S&D. Like the advantage they created was pretty much gone in a matter of minutes. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Galio goes for an engage, but Brand decides to just walk out of that taunt range.
Another Infernal is up. Is basically another Dragon game is going to be on bot lane. Both of the teams are basically warding. Jarvan put a control ward on the Dragon. Volibear is doing his red standard laning stuff. But it is going to be interesting. We see Jarvan doing counter jungle and Volibear is clearing the control ward. Let's see who gets the Infernal. Oh, the Volibear already started the Dragon, but he has to back off.
I'm guessing it was a misclick on his part. He just wanted to clear the ward. However, he does get caught up between Xayah and Rakan. Jarvan joins the fight. Meanwhile, Galio is in there as well. The Kog'Maw whittling down their HP. They weren't able to kill the Kog'Maw. The Volibear does go down. Kog'Maw picking up 2 kills in the process. It might be curtains for Rakan as well. The Malphite Q does land. Malphite gives chase, and it will be Rakan being picked up. CBP on a roll at this point. Like, they basically turned around that fight where Volibear misclicked the dragon instead of clicking the control ward. He was sandwiched in by Galio and Xayah and Rakan. However, CBP, quick plays from them to turn the fight around, coupled with Malphite and Brand. They just turned that fight around exceptionally well and carved out a solid lead for them. And this is going to result in the first turret of the game going to CBP and the second Infernal Drake going to them as well.
Yes, and he just got deleted, man, on that dragon pit. I was just overwhelmed and I was just trying to grasp what was happening. Their Kog'Maw just deleted everyone with the Lulu ultimate. It just went really well for them. The Kog'Maw is going to be a monster like after 5 or 7 minutes with 3 kills in his pocket and already Rageblade completed.
Right, at this point in the game, CBP have a solid lead of 3.3k gold, and I'm not really sure as to how S&D are going to claw back from this one. They have to focus more on objectives and farming up so that their Xayah gets more items, and the fact that their Singe needs more time to ramp up. At this point, I think the Singe and the Galio should be focusing on, providing a front line for the Xayah to actually pick off some kills. However, I feel like that the point in the game might come too late for S&D, because CBP at this point, they're on a roll and they're being more aggressive than S&D at this point.
Yeah, definitely. We see some pokings going on. Jarvan going on top. Malphite kind of walks out. Oh, Jarvan ults in.
But I'm really not sure if this is gonna go well for S&D. But S&D does commit with the Galio ult and manage to kill the Malphite. However, Brand joins the foray, and that is a lot of damage going on.
Brand burst just going on. Singe got
down. Singe goes down, but the W misses on the Jarvan. Galio and Jarvan basically clawing out of there with their lives intact, and this is probably going to be the top lane turret
with the
for CBP.
Yes.
Really sure as to why S&D committed so many resources into killing the Malphite, because at this point of the game, you know that CBP has an advantage. You know that they can rotate back, and the Malphite delaying the kill, they can actually rotate up top lane and help their laner out. And in that case, you're not supposed to be, rerouting your resources to help out probably the only member in your team who needs to hit a certain time point to become powerful. You should be focusing those resources on getting your mid laner straight, shutting down the Brand or shutting down the Kog'Maw, instead of going for an inert laner like Malphite.
It's just a game pressure at this point, because both have kind of early. I mean, they both of the teams played the early game really well. But these aggressive play just cost them one tower. Basically, right now, CBP is 2 tower advantage with around 5k gold lead.
And the Brand is at 304 with 165 CS. And he's going to be dangerous in the coming fight. Right now, Volibear going in for the Jarvan. He just tried to get EQ. Does he get Polymorph? And the ultimate is not enough to save him. Rakan goes there, but the Rakan is going to get picked up by the Brand. Q misses on the Xayah, but they're going in full speed. Xayah has to flash out, and the mid lane turret gets taken out. Meanwhile, Malphite coming in. The ult is just go down. Q is up. Kog'Maw finishes up the kill. Singe might go down, but he just managed to escape. At this point, CBP are being so aggressive and they're so meticulous with their decision making. They're catching S&D on the back foot every single time. Even if S&D wants to claw back and come back with an aggressive stance, CBP is there with the entire team coordinating that fight and obliterating all the team members of S&D. Right now, the Kog'Maw is dealing so much damage that the Singe just got, melted down to very little HP, and he does escape. But this is going to be the second mid lane turret for CBP.
At this point, CBP is just a scary team comp. I mean, with Brand damage, with Lulu ult, with Kog'Maw damage, it's just insane damage output from CBP. What interests me is that their CBP is playing more maturely, like focusing on objectives. On the other hand, S&D is just trying to pick up fights that they should not have, and that is what costing them the game at this point. And another thing that I have to say at this point is basically the Singe pick. It could have been annoying if he could pull it out, but it is just
right now we're seeing another fight coming out. Xayah gets picked off mercilessly.
Xayah just got delayed, and S&D just cost another tower.
That you said that Singe could have been annoying if they went to the late game. However, Jarvan goes in for the engage. I'm not sure if that's the smart thing to do in a 3v4 situation. And S&D are getting picked off left, right, and center. Brand might go down, but he escaped with a sliver of HP. He still doesn't die. And an ace comes out for CBP. CBP are looking unstoppable in this game. I think it's safe to say that they've already won this game.
Kind of. As I was saying that, CBP is playing the game maturely instead of like picking bad fights. If you notice right now that they just had a I mean the minions were pushed in the top lane, but what their top laner did as I mean maturely, he just keep it back there and cleared the lane. So basically they are not giving any chances at this point to SND.
They're just basically solidifying their position by not giving away advantages to the opponent team, to SND at this point, and they're going to pick up the third dragon in the game, and at this point it's just CBP steamrolling over SND. But how did we come to this point? Well, first of all, as I was saying, SND should have played more aggressive. The Jarvan should have had more map presence, and instead of focusing on the top lane, should have gone to bot and mid lane. As I was saying, mid lane and bot lane, these two laners for both these teams are going to be the ones who are the most influential in the path to victory. And that is exactly what is happening. The Kog'Maw and the Brand basically carrying CBP, and they are just, you know, impossible to deal with at this point. The damage that they're putting out, coupled with the fact that they have a lot of protection surrounding them, the Lulu ult, the Malphite, and the Volibear, all being very tanky at the front line, plus the Lulu protecting them, it is pretty impossible to, you know, reach those carries in the first place. And you needed to have, you know, S&D needed to find a way to shut them down in the early game so that they couldn't get to this point. It's so early in the game, it's 23 minutes, and the Kog'Maw is already behaving like a late game Kog'Maw. He already has a Rage Blade, a Wit's End, and a Runon's Hurricane, mind you. And those three items are enough to actually set you know, a monstrous Kog'Maw loose. And when he gets that, you know, free auto attack opportunity, he's going to melt anyone that comes in, even the Singed, or even the Jarvan. No matter how much armor you bring to the table, he is going to melt you no matter what. So he should have done more jungle pressure, more pressure on mid and bot lane, better picked fights, to be honest, because even when CBP won the bot lane fights, they could have clawed their way back, as evidenced by the fact that Xayah and Rakan were able to force a 2v2 and come out on top. And right now, CBP feels so confident that they're even going for the Baron.
They are not even clearing the wards. They are that confident. Speaking of bot lane, I mean, if you look at the S&D team comp and what really happened, they had actually a fair team composition just to counter CBP, but they just couldn't pull it off. We see a Galio ultimate, everyone is just going ham. Kog'Maw is doing free damage, though Malphite picks a kill, Kog'Maw gets double kill at this point. I guess it's just we are looking at the story of just the game being end at this point. They are going for the tier 3 turret on the mid lane. They already have one inhib down. Kog'Maw and Lulu in the top lane. Brand took the mid lane tier 3 turret, going for the inhib. We see a lot of pressure from every end. I don't know what SND can do at this point.
Basically setting up SND for the kill at this point. 3 inhibs down, super minions pushing from all 3 lanes right now, and they have the Baron buff. They're going to basically try to end this game as soon as possible, because they really do not want to, you know, allow SND any opportunity of coming back. I won't be surprised if they do engage SND between the turret. Meanwhile, Brand showing Rakan that you need to basically maintain your defensive line. If you walk out alive, that is going to happen. Meanwhile, Kog'Maw going to town with SND, killing them even in their fountain. Oh my god, that is a lot of damage. And CBP picking up the victory over SND. This is one team to watch out for in the coming weeks, ladies and gentlemen. They might just end up making some big splashes in the Pro League as well.
It's a GG for CBP. Thank you guys for watching the stream. We had another 3 games going on. Basically, just to if I look at the results now, another game, Brain Lag versus Team Gravity. Team Gravity on the game. I don't have the other results yet. It will be posted on the DeimosForce official Facebook channel, and we'll be also posting the upcoming stream links here. Stay tuned and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.